I'm not hearing an argument.
I'm giving a full beat so I have room to just cut that out.
You have Austrian, thank you very much.
Austrians are okay with me because of the sound of music.
You know what?
Yeah, alright. What was his name? Christopher Plummer's character? The captain? He fought for that country.
Chris.
No. It wasn't Chris.
Captain Plummer.
Captain Plummer fought for Austria.
Captain, isn't he dead now?
He died recently.
Yeah, like 2022 or something?
Something, because he was in the first Knives Out. And he died in that too, and then in real life.
Yeah.
He's method.
I remember they got him in to replace Kevin Spacey in All the Money in the World.
Yeah.
They did all the reshoots in like 3 weeks.
10 days.
10 days?
He would learn his lines and then just walk onto set and act, and he got an Oscar nomination. And Kevin Spacey was in like a fat suit and stuff like that, like method acting, and he's like, this is the only way I can be an old weirdo. We're like, are you sure?
Yeah, that's the only way.
You sure about that, Kevin Spacey? Oh.
Fun fact, he wasn't acting in Usual Suspects. That's just how he is in real life.
I've never seen it. I know the twist, though, so it's like hard to watch if you know the twist.
I still really enjoyed it.
And you knew the twist going in? Okay, so maybe it's worth it. It's hard to watch Kevin Spacey movies now anyway, though.
Yeah. Are you going to put... Because we talked about this with...
Baby Driver.
No, the...
Using the Force?
My brain is blanking. Woody Allen movies.
Yeah.
Where, like, you're not going to watch him till he's dead. Is that where you're standing on Kevin Spacey?
Maybe. I just don't care enough. Like, what else has he done? I'm going to watch K-Pax? I'm going to watch K-Pax. Alright, Kevin Spacey's alive. I'm going to watch K-Pax.
So, is it... Because, like, where do you... Because there's, like... Okay, he was... being predatory.
Right.
That's like what people... Do you remember how he handled that situation?
I'm gay!
Yeah.
Smoke bomb, leave the room.
Exactly. I just love the like, hey, did you know he was being predatory towards a minor, and that minor just happened to be a guy, like a 16, 17-year-old guy, and he was just like, yeah, I'm gay. And they're like, that's not the issue we have, Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey, I think you missed the mark.
Yeah. So, where do I draw the line?
Yeah, cause Woody Allen actually like sexually assaulted people.
Did Kevin Spacey not?
That's what I don't know.
I think a bunch of people are dead in connection to his court cases.
Really?
Maybe. That might be true, and I'm willing to present it as fact.
That might be true, and I'm willing to present it as fact. The Better Call Saul story.
I've never seen Better Call Saul.
It's good.
I know it's good, and I like that lead guy.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
From the Mr. Men show.
And, him and David Cross.
Yeah.
Is that show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
I miss Arrested Development.
I never saw that one.
There's the first run of it, the Netflix reboots or whatever are like trying to recapture the magic. There's funny bits, but the first run of it, first 3 seasons, I think it was, that's gold.
That's actually high praise, because you don't normally praise television all that much.
I like Arrested Development, and I like Hannibal.
For 2 totally different reasons.
What else? Are there any other TV shows I like? No.
No?
No.
I think I know it's like the cliche thing, but like genuinely Breaking Bad was fascinating to watch. Even after it had been like ballooned to such like a huge degree of hype, I was still amazed at how much it was like, oh shit is happening. And
there is another TV show I like. Malcolm in the Middle.
Really?
Malcolm in the Middle is the best TV show ever made.
Because you're the middle child.
That's irrelevant.
Is it?
I've talked to plenty of other childs who are not middle childs who say that shit is gold.
I never saw it. That was not on my radar growing up.
That's because you're an only child.
My favorite, like the first time where I could say like this is my favorite like sitcom, Fresh Prince.
I've always thought of you as a Will Smith type.
Hang on. In the last few years, that's gone from being cool to cuckish.
I've always thought of you as a cucked man.
Man, Will Smith fell off hard.
I don't know that he did. I think his image rehab did. Because, like, 10 years ago, he was, like, praising Scientology.
10 years ago, he was in After Earth, so it was still going downhill.
Yeah, so he's just been in a free fall.
Since the turn of the century.
Uncle Phil threw him down those stairs, and he just never hit rock bottom.
He's still falling to this day.
Yeah.
Will Smith ragdoll physics. Just...
I don't remember what I was going to talk about.
Thor 2.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about it eventually. I don't know if you're putting it off.
I am. That's why I keep going, what else is new? What have you been doing, buddy? Talk to me about your life.
No.
No! That means I have to talk about Thor 2.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Before we get into it, do you want to do a quick... Welcome to another episode... You thought I was just doing Donald Duck noises? 1 second, real quick. Alright, now that I've got my duck out. He was trapped in there. Had to let him loose, had to let the beast free. Welcome to another episode of KAFM. I'm John. That's...
Duncan.
And today this is a double feature, right? And 2 movies that we picked that have tenuous connections.
And we're actually fucking better at this than we thought.
We are.
We're
because
incredible at this.
The 2 movies are Thor 2 and Terminator 5. And why did we pick them?
I chose these movies because the villain of each movie, who's not really on screen all that often, is played by a former Doctor Who actor. Christopher Eccleston as Malekith in Thor 2 The Dark World, and Matt Smith as a...
Skynet.
Terminator in the future, but then also Skynet Avatar in the quote-unquote present. No, it's not Skynet, it's the new one.
Genisys.
That's the name of the movie. You think we would have remembered.
No, not when it comes to Terminator 5.
But here's the incredible thing that neither of us realized until we were watching like halfway through Thor 2 and I got bored and looked at my phone.
Relatable.
Not only were these actually directed by the same guy, he directed them back to back.
Yeah, so our tenuous connection is now not even tenuous. It's full-uous. It's direct-uous connected.
It's fucking incredible. Completely unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm being honest, I was thinking about it after realizing, and this is just sort of a broad stroke for both films.
They suck.
I would say that they're safe action movies. Like,
yeah.
I don't think they're solid. I think they're both solid, like 5 out of 10 action movies. There's some dumb stuff that just keeps the plot moving, but like when cool shit is happening, when John Connor is landing a motorcycle on a truck, it's like you point at the screen and say, "That's cool as shit."
Yeah, both of these movies you can put on when the nieces and nephews are over. And you're like, just throw Thor 2 on the screen. They'll watch it a little bit in between, like, opening their birthday gifts or whatever they're there for. And there won't be anything, like, too raunchy or too gory.
You're right. It is as good as Static.
It is.
Put on in the background.
It's the 7-year-old equivalent of a mobile or Jingle Keys.
First one we watched was Thor 2.
Yeah.
Which... in the grand scheme of the MCU, people, for a long time when they were still doing all the Thanos shit, when I was still paying attention to the MCU, like the first, I think, 3 arcs, the Infinity Saga or whatever, people were like, oh, this is one of the worst ones. Thor 2 was really bad. Hindsight, Thor 2 holds up okay compared to some of the recent trash.
So I haven't seen the recent trash, but I'll tell you this, Thor 2 does hold up as bad. I remembered it as bad, and I watched it, and I was like, hey, this is bad. Now, I watched this originally in suboptimal movie conditions, which is, I watched it on a watchmovies123.to rapidly closing pop-ups that were geolocating me to target ads and install Trojan viruses. And I probably skipped through boring parts, and then I went to see a movie after it. I remember this, actually.
Were you going to see Thor 3 in theaters? Like, I gotta catch up.
I was going to see one of the Captain America, like big ones. It was either an Avengers or like
Civil War.
Yeah, and there was two that I hadn't seen, so it's like, all right, let me just like, you know, quick notes real quick.
Yeah.
So I just like, oh, nothing happens in this movie, got it. So this might be the first time I've sat through it, and it'll be the last.
Okay, so one thing that I do appreciate about this movie, compared to newer MCU stuff, is the use of practical costuming. They did just have 30 guys in Asgardian armor with fake spears, and they had 30 guys in fake dark elf masks, just kind of hitting each other with sticks for battle sequences.
That's true. In the newer ones, it's just all a background, right? Like, it's like 4 actual people on set.
Yeah, it's...
like Paul Rudd's just standing around like, I'm Ant-Man.
It's me, I'm Ant-Man. Watch me get big, watch me get small. I like Ant-Man.
I like Ant-Man too.
Really? You liked Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I saw that movie in theaters.
I know you meant you liked Ant-Man as well, but I was setting you up for failure with
I
that
know,
one.
but I was just trying to remember if I'd even seen Ant-Man 2 to continue the bit.
That one had Walt Goggins in it.
Walton Goggins?
Walt Goggins.
Is it Walt? I thought it was Walton.
We're on a first name basis. He's cool.
Is his middle name On? He's Walt On Goggins?
No, it is Walton Goggins. I've
call
seen
him Walt.
I've seen him credited as both.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if one is like, I don't know if Walt Goggins is just people mishearing or not.
It's when he shows full forehead, he's Walton.
When he's wearing a hat like in Hateful Eight, he's Walt.
Exactly. So he's gonna be Walt in the Fallout show that looks like dog shit. It looks really bad.
I'm mad about the Fallout show because they keep making the ghouls less ugly.
Yeah.
Like, they used to just be melted, goopy guys,
Yeah.
and now they're like, oh, he just kind of looks like a guy.
And also, Fallout 4 is now the touchstone for all Fallout media, and I hate Fallout 4. This isn't a video game show, because despite your best efforts, but Fallout 4 sucks.
I've always just... Final pin in this from me. Bethesda, I think, was very smart in making Elder Scrolls V and Fallout 4 the most easily accessible options to reinvigorate those franchises. The problem now is the next time they try to get back to, like, the gritty, chunky mechanics, like spellcrafting in Elder Scrolls 3 or something, it's going to be super inaccessible for people who love Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you're going to lose a whole lot of people by actually making it interesting.
And my take is, I love Skyrim. Skyrim rules.
Okay.
I don't know what Elder Scrolls 3 is, but Skyrim's dope. So anyway, now that we've really pushed off Thor 2 as much as we can, Thor 2 is about is a romantic drama about what if your really hot boyfriend had a 9-to-5 job and you were basically unemployed and bothering him with text messages 24/7.
What if you have to contract some terrible space virus just so he'll come see you?
Yeah, you have to lie to him. No, it is. It's like I know she has a job, but it's not really clear in the movie what Natalie Portman's job is other than scientist.
In the first one, if you told me she was an extra from Twister, I would believe you. Because she is just, like, chasing storms looking for special activity.
Yeah, she's like, sometimes tornadoes have a man in them.
Sometimes lightning does strike twice.
Yeah.
That's a Thor 2 joke.
Is it?
Because it's the second one, and he...
Oh, I thought you were saying they said that in the movie, which I would have believed you. I would have believed that annoying other duo of the woman and the British man. We were like, sometimes lightning strikes twice, and then I threw a remote at the screen or something.
My TV! No, the best part of this movie is Stellan Skarsgård naked at Stonehenge.
Yeah. Alright. What's the actual plot of this movie?
Okay.
The actual plot.
Okay, so this takes place after the first Avengers movie when Loki does all of his terrible shit. So the movie opens with Loki being tried at the Hague, Space Hague.
They're gonna string him up.
Yeah.
And Tom Hiddleston blinks his little Tumblr girl eyelashes.
Nepo baby time. Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins, who does not want to be there.
He later went on to reveal that he hated being in every single one of these movies. Have you heard that interview? He's like, they sat me in a chair and I said, bullshit, that wasn't acting.
Oh
And
my!
if you watch this movie, he did get sat in a chair bespeak bullshit.
I think there were 2 scenes where he was standing in the whole movie.
He was propped up. That's why you only see him from the waist. They're
No,
actually
he was
wheeling him.
he was walking around the magic table where Natalie Portman was getting autopsied.
That's true. That was CGI too, though.
He wasn't.
He's on a Segway, and then they just mat in.
It was on a green Segway that they keyed out.
He's
so his hands are just
suspended
up.
from the ceiling. He's like the villain in Dune. He's got that like.
Baron
Harkonnen.
Hopkins.
Which is also Stellan Skarsgård.
Hey, that was probably a better. I've not seen Dune 2 yet, but that's probably a better movie.
We could have been watching Dune 2 instead of Thor 2?
Yeah, but we didn't.
Oh my god, I have to watch it as Guardian War instead of A Glorious Jihad.
Okay, so Loki gets the issue with this movie is there's a lot going on because they're trying to juggle the aftermath of the first big crossover movie with the Avengers, but also try and make a compelling plot for Thor again.
Yeah, this movie is it's janitor duty for like it's right after event, right? 2013 and Avengers is 2012.
I think there were 2 2013 event or Marvel movies. There was Iron Man 3 and then this one. And this one was really doing the heavy lifting because Loki was the bad guy of Avengers.
Okay, so it has to be, but it also can't be a full sequel because like they're saving their money for they have a next Avengers movie.
And this was also, I think, the no, that's not true because there was some of the Infinity Crystals in the first Avengers movie, but the red goop that Natalie Portman slurps up, that's the red stone.
Which you wouldn't have known though. It's like it almost feels like they decided that later. Like they're just like, I guess that's the because in the movie it's just red goo that they blow up at the end.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, actually, you know what? Why not that? Why not connect that?
We trapped it in a kidney stone and now we're gonna sell it to Benicio del Toro in space.
Oh yeah. What a world.
I remember you asking at the end of the movie, fast forward it, I want to see what they were teasing, and then, like, we skipped past it, but you saw the little, like...
Benicio?
The little, like, reader thing when it's showing you the scene by scene. It's like, oh, yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Put on Terminator. Now, so, Natalie Portman on Earth is dealing with some more weird space shit.
Her boyfriend, Thor, has left her to fight aliens.
Yeah, he gets back because he is also investigating the weird space shit that turns out to be the Aether, which is what it's called. And she's just like, why would you leave me? And he's like, there were wars in space! I fought the space wars! And she was like, alright.
And that's the little bit of goofiness you get in this movie, which is just like standard MCU, always put in those little jokes. But Thor isn't a character. Thor is... Maybe he is in the comics. I've only read a little bit of Thor comics years ago. But he's a 7-year-old's idea of a character. My guy is buff, strong, has a hammer only he can use, and he shoots lightning. And the movie goes, alright, he likes his brother, nothing deeper. And he doesn't, he's got a will they, won't they with his brother. He's got more chemistry with Tom Hiddleston than he does with Natalie Portman. She just touches Thor breast, and she's like, that's a buff man.
Wouldn't we all?
It's respectable, but it's not a character either. Natalie Portman, the next year after this, she does, like, Black Swan.
Which was a real movie.
Exactly. Like, she's an actor. She does things.
Yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth later on can do funny stuff. And people hate Taika Waititi now. They've, like, turned on him.
That's just because Thor 4 wasn't allowed to cook. There were so many unfinished... Because it's the same as it ever was, with CGI's getting worse.
Oh, okay.
So they looked at the shitty result of Thor... Thor 4 is not a bad plot. It just looks bad. So they're like, Taika Waititi made a bad movie.
Okay. But he was in, like, Free Guys and stuff, too.
Was he? Oh, he was the bad guy in Free Guy. Oh my god.
So like people are like, oh, he's falling off and stuff. I just think he's paying for his kids' college fund with Marvel, so why stop? And he's a goofy dude.
Let him have fun.
Well, and I don't care a ton for the newer movies, but I'd rather take Goofball Thor over this. Just as like, he's big and he lands, and he's in about 20 minutes of his own movie.
That's very true. So, I guess we should touch upon the reason we watch this, and that's the villain. Malekith, who looks like dog shit compared to his comics interpretation, where he's a goofy-ass half-jester.
You don't even have to know that either. You just look at that costume and you're like, wow, that looks like shit.
It's very unfortunate, because it feels like low fantasy. Like, that looks like if you put a dark elf kind of aesthetic into Lord of the Rings, it might look like that. The pale skin, the black armor. It's like, okay, I can tell that apart to, like, Elrond or something. Elrond Hubbard. I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second there.
Of course I can live for thousands of years. My thetans are aligned. Do not fall in love with that ranger, my daughter. We must get you through the stages of conditioning. The only rule is survive.
No, but it feels like low fantasy and high fantasy, because we're in space.
Yeah.
It's space gods, and instead we, like, the costumes look okay, but I feel like they could have been cooler, yeah.
That's because this era of movie was, what if crazy thing was real? And so we need to make it realistic. And it turns out that sucks, because I'm watching a movie about a lightning man from space. I don't care. Like, I don't want to be like, well, technically, it's plausible. I don't believe this. So give me this goofy-ass costume, do something crazy, and instead we're, like, spending time in parking lots where we're talking about what would happen if
what would happen if we did something cool?
Like, if a portal opens up, what's going to happen? And I'm like, I don't know, but I hope it happens, because right now I'm watching Stellan Skarsgård and Natalie Portman and other people literally stand in, like, British rainy concrete sidewalks.
Yeah.
And they go, I wonder how Thor's doing.
Me too, show me the big man.
And then they cut to Thor, and he's in a bit poorly green-screened, columned room, and he goes, I wonder how Natalie's doing.
Yeah, so Malekith, the Dark Elves, this pulls more specifically from Norse mythology than, like, any other Thor movie, because they talk about the 9 realms, they talk about Muspelheim, Niflheim, like, all the other...
Those names is goofy. Much respect if you're still a pagan out there fighting the good fight, but that's a goofy... Niflheim is funny.
It's Niflheim, there's no B in it.
They're sending me to Niflheim!
They would send you to Helheim, first of all.
Why would they send me to Helheim? What have I done wrong?
I don't know.
Other than made fun of their entire culture, I guess, just now.
Yeah, so this, I think, pulls mostly... And it has, like, this whole syzygy theme of, like, the stars align... Syzygy is a planetary astral alignment.
Oh, okay.
I
can't see it, but I looked at him like he just had a seizure.
No, I took my meds. I'm fine. So... There's like this whole thing of like, oh, all the realms are gonna align, and Malekith is like, I'm gonna use the Aether, which is the Infinity Stone of form, like it can just change reality and bullshit, which is not something it does a whole lot. It just makes portals in this movie.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of things you're saying, like up until that, where you're like, he's gonna align portals and destroy the world. Sure, that's in the movie. This like stone of form and stuff is not brought up.
It's not relevant.
The only time this red shit happens is it goes in Natalie Portman, and she spends the rest of the day basically having an uncurable space disease that they're like, how do we fix Natalie? And the answer is kind of just, they don't. Like, it just gets done better. They're like, oh, we got it.
The villain of the movie cures her. He's just like, hey, you got my red goop in you, and let me remove that.
So that's not a narrative.
No.
For the movie. Like, 45 minutes, they're like, how do we get it out of Natalie? It's in Natalie, and you think she's going to be involved in the end of the movie. She's not.
No.
At that 45-minute mark, the villain, Malekith, grabs the goo, and he's like, now it's me, and turns out I love having this shit in me. And so then it's a different... So that's another reason this doesn't feel like it has a story, is because the opening is just Thor and Natalie Portman... mother of Luke Skywalker. I mean,
you're struggling.
It's just Thor and Padme, and they're just like doing their will they won't they romance thing with very little chemistry. Despite them both being fine actors, it's not clicking.
No.
Occasionally we cut to Loki, and he's just in jail, and he's like, this sucks.
Loki has a better arc than Thor in this movie because they kill Thor's mom in this movie. And they make it a point of being like, Thor was dad's favorite growing up, Loki was mom's favorite growing up. So, you know, Loki's going through all kinds of, like, awful, you know, like, he is not handling it well, and there's some great back and forth with Thor and Loki of, like, do you think you're the only one who loved Mother? You know, they have this whole...
Is it great back and forth, or is it just back and forth?
I genuinely think that they have, like, you talk about how, like, they have better chemistry, so even...
They do.
Yeah, so even when they're fighting, I genuinely feel like, okay, I believe that these are people who grew up together. I believe that these are... You know, they might have a strained relationship because, you know, you're not really my brother, but I'll love you like one.
I forgot he was adopted. I was about to say the only reason I don't buy them as brothers is because one's a chiseled Adonis and the other one has the inherent scrawny British genes.
Yeah, he's the son of Laufey, the son of the Frost Giant. That's Loki's dad's name.
That's the main character of One Piece.
See, this is the issue, is I'm so... fucking Norse mythology pilled after Thor or after God of War Ragnarok, yeah. Bringing it back to video games. Yeah. It's fucking awful.
No, and I think it's tainting your ability to dislike this movie. I think an honest soul would be like, this movie sucks.
This movie is objectively bad. This movie is objectively...
We got him, boys.
This movie is objectively, I would say, a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
For my nostalgia with it, and, you know, because this movie came out when I was, like, 14.
Yeah.
I give it probably a solid, like, 6 with the nostalgia glass. It's like, you know what? If this is put on, there's worse movies to watch. I'm not mad.
That's true. I could just put on, like, air-conditioned repair videos.
I'd rather watch probably any other MCU movie except for Ant-Man 3, but, you know.
Which one's 3?
Quantumania, the one where Bill Murray shows up for no fucking reason.
I didn't know Bill Murray was in that movie.
He's in 2 scenes and then leaves, and all your questions are, why was Bill Murray here?
I never saw it. I've heard nothing but horrible things.
The best way I heard it described is, this is the best Star Wars movie that just has Paul Rudd running around, and it does have a lot of, like, goofy, dumb sci-fi shit. I do like how they used some of the characters, but overall, it's just unnecessary. It's just, you don't need to watch it. Okay, so, trying to think about how this movie wraps up, because
I'm trying to think about how this movie goes at all.
Because it's just, Thor beats Malekith. Oh no, I don't even remember if they kill the guy or if they just lock him up.
The final fight is he grows giant, but you can't really tell because he's only in frames alone. And then he goes, "You'll never kill me." And then Thor just throws a spike and kills him. Like, there's no outsmarting wits. There's no overcoming an obstacle. There's no learning something new about yourself. Thor is just like, all right, first try didn't work. Here's one more spike, jackass.
Is Thor trying to be Blade in a movie that isn't Blade, where he's just cool all the time and kills the bad guy when the bad guy says he can't be killed?
Like, is the movie trying to be Blade?
No, is the character of Thor is like, you'll never kill me, kills him.
I have no idea. I don't know that Thor and Hulk are just characters for children, because it's just a big guy power fantasy sort of thing.
Bruce Banner is objectively an interesting character. Hulk is not an interesting character, if you ask me. Like, there is a distinction.
Okay. Alright. Well, I'm thinking more just, when you see kids wearing Avengers merch, like with the old school cartoony look,
yeah,
it's just like Hulk and Thor in there, not looking like how they look in the movies. He's got the stupid hat and stuff, but I think kids just like that, to be big and stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you make a movie about it, turns out it's terrible because you pretend it's not. Like, if this movie was just for kids, it would be fine, but it's PG-13 and somebody gets their hand cut off.
Yeah.
And it, like, shows bone for half a second, and you're like, this isn't... Like, this should be PG, which don't exist anymore. PG movies don't exist anymore.
Really?
When was the last time you've seen a movie that was PG?
I feel like it was, like, a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Like, there might have been a pretty recent, like, Pixar movie that was, like maybe Turning Red, where it was like, oh, this talks about girls getting periods, so we need to...
But I'm talking more, like...
It's cute. I like that movie.
Like a movie that hits theaters and is not animated and is not to shit talk animated movie, just in the sense that, like, Poltergeist is PG.
Beetlejuice is PG, but that was before PG-13 existed. These movies...
Yeah, but, like, what's PG outside of just animated? Like, every movie is for 13-year-olds? Movies about Thor are for 13-year-olds? Are you kidding me?
Like I said, I was 14 when this movie came out, and I probably saw that shit in theaters.
Sure, but like I saw Ant-Man in theaters, and I snuck in an entire Subway $5 footlong with a toasted bun, and I ate it loudly crunchy. I did that with my brother, and I think my dad. There was like, and my mom. There was 4 of us all eating loud Subway sandwiches. So that's my review of Thor 2. I would have preferred it if I had a big grinder.
Big old snadwich.
What do you think happens? All right, the bad guy shows up, he blows something up, and then Thor kills him. Movie over. Pop! Terminator 5!
Terminator 5!
This also sucks.
I liked this more than Thor 2.
Me too.
I've only seen this movie once before, and I was a little apprehensive because I remember it just kind of going through the motions of every other Terminator movie, but then I remembered the formula for Terminator is just kind of cool.
Like, we send a robot to the past and he fucks shit up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We send a robot to a time when there aren't robots, and people don't know how to kill the robot.
Yes, that is cool as shit. And then, I mean, James Cameron's the GOAT forever for inventing this robot. Like, you just put that picture of a Terminator, like, endoskeleton up.
Mm-hmm.
Endo, right? Like.
Yeah, endo would be internal.
Okay. But you just put it up there, and we all high five. This is a robot skeleton with red eyes and a gun.
And metal teeth.
Yeah. Do you remember when they put this thing in Gears of War?
No.
They put a Terminator in Gears of War, and he just showed up, and it's the exact same image, flames, and then the gun has a chainsaw on it now.
I'm pissed that they put the Terminator into Mortal Kombat, but it still had the Arnie skin over it.
I think it comes off.
Does it?
I didn't play Mortal Kombat 11 that much.
I would have much rather preferred just Metal Robot.
That's cool, but they put RoboCop in there, so we already had Metal Robot.
He still got fleshy lips, though. Like, that's not 100%.
That's for kissing.
So you can kiss the RoboCop.
Thank you for saving my life, Robot Cop. Mwah.
Your move, creep.
My move, absolutely. I'm reaching down to that spike USB. Not the one in his hand.
Is that a gun in your hollow leg, or are you just happy to see me?
God. Let's just do 6 episodes about RoboCop instead. We just every week watch RoboCop.
Okay.
RoboCop's the perfect movie. There's never been a better movie.
First RoboCop goes pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
I genuinely thinking about like other movies, like I would love to see RoboCop meet Judge Dredd.
Okay. Like the new Dredd, like Dredd.
Like Carl Urban.
Yeah. But we still got to do what's his name, the original RoboCop.
Peter Sellers?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Those are
the 2 best
a
iterations.
RoboCop that's lived long enough that he's aged physically in the face. Society has fallen and been rebuilt for Judge Dredd's, and now there's one RoboCop that wakes up in Judge Dredd time. I just made $1 billion.
And it's recorded. We have it recorded. So
don't steal my idea, people who own these IPs I'm talking about.
I was trying to remember, like, was it Paramount that did those movies?
I don't know. I think it was the Lord God himself that made RoboCop.
So Terminator 5.
Oh shit, I forgot I was talking about that. I just started talking about I was just like, I'm so glad I get to talk about RoboCop after Thor 2.
No, we're talking about Terminator 5. So it starts off kind of slow because the stuff that takes place during the actual robot war, we talked about this, isn't that interesting.
It never has been.
It's just a backdrop for sending things back in time.
Yeah, it's just, there's a reason it's 2 minutes or less in the original Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the opening scene of the first Terminator? It's the same thing. Like you open in the future. You always open in the future.
Yeah.
But it's always barely any, because it's one of those things, mistaking the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
The future doesn't actually matter. We just know it's bad because robots.
The point of every Terminator movie is to keep that future from happening. I was talking about this like after we watched it. Every Terminator movie retcons itself because it's like, hey, we stopped at the Terminator, we did this, so we stopped Judgment Day. Terminator 2 happens, but Miles Dyson blew himself up, so no more Judgment Day. Terminator 3 had Rise of the Machines.
And that's why, like, Salvation, and then, which is the fourth one.
And then Genisys.
Both kind of suck. Salvation specifically it's all in, like, it's happening.
Yeah.
That's not I don't care. I do not care about a human-robot war. No. I care about humans in the past going, holy shit, robots are real.
Robots are gonna be real, and they're not gonna let us kiss them.
Where's Robert Kopp?
We need Robert Kopp. He'll save us. His little bit of humanity.
Exactly. Oh, Alex Murphy. It's a sign, I've said it before, it's a sign of praise if I remember a character's name in a movie. Thor doesn't count because he's on the screen.
He's the name of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie opens with it opens in the future with the robot war, and there's a lot of mixed up timelines because it finally references the fact that they fucked with the timeline 4 times before, and that various timelines now do and don't exist. The first 4 Terminators do and don't happen simultaneously because they all retcon themselves. And so what's cool about it is they can kind of pick and choose which good parts of Terminator to keep. Like, we keep the T-1000, which is cool as hell, and is only in the movie for like 20 minutes.
What happens to him?
They melt him with acid.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, again, pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, they do some time travel bullshit, and then we discover that Matt Smith, who's kind of been hanging out in the background, I knew something was going to happen because Matt Smith at that point, after being Doctor Who, was a recognizable face, at least in the fact that he has a specific facial structure that makes him look like an alien man.
But also, like, that's not a guy you just put in the background to say no words. And so when we're the opening scene, just every once in a while, Matt Smith just walks by looking at the camera. You're like, that's somebody, right?
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. And then as they're sending Kyle Reese back in time,
Jai Courtney,
who
goes on to be Captain Boomerang and nothing else.
I can't think of anything.
He's in The Revenant.
Never saw it.
I swear he's in The Revenant. That might be Tom Hardy.
I know Leonardo DiCaprio was in it.
Yeah.
Did Jai Courtney play the bear?
No.
That's all I know about that movie.
That's Jeremy Allen White.
God, that's such a good fucking show.
That is another good show. I like that one.
I love the bear.
Hannibal, The Bear, Arrested Development, Malcolm in the Middle.
The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And Malcolm rode a pale horse.
And the comment is that 50% of them are about cooking.
I think you've got a soft spot for cooking. I think you should...
I should become a chef.
You should go back to school.
Okay.
For culinary arts.
Yes.
Actually get an art degree this time.
What happens if you're in a culinary classroom and like, what do you got into? It's like, I saw Hannibal. And they're just like, F.
I think
we're going to teach you how to weld. You don't get to cook no more.
I think they would probably call the police for...
They just rush me with knives like Caesar.
The menu you. They just burn the building around you.
Ray Fiennes, no!
Oh, man, that's another great movie. Getting distracted. Terminator 5. Fuck. So...
They send...
Matt Smith... They send... Kyle Reese back in time. Matt Smith grabs John Connor and is like, I'm evil, and starts melting his face.
Yeah.
Because his hand is like red hot. It's like, oh my god, he's a Terminator. Kyle Reese is like, what happened?
And then you don't see that for another hour and a half.
No.
But that's the opening of the movie. Is the future, something went wrong in the future. And we gotta send Jai Courtney back. The problem is... We already know something went wrong in the future because it's a Terminator movie.
Because it's a robot war.
Like, I bought the ticket that said Terminator on it. I have a feeling the future's poor for people. So, spending, I think it's like 15 minutes. It's a decent, like, prologue-y, is really, like, we are so far removed from the crisp Terminator 1 and 2 where it's like scrolling text, 2 minutes or less, in and out, Terminator looks sick, dope visual, move on.
This movie probably made me the most uncomfortable when it comes to, like, the the relationship of the time travelers and the whole, because like Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor have John Connor, like that has been established since Terminator 1, but they also established, it's been so long since I've seen Salvation, I don't know if this ever came up, but they also said like, oh, John Connor found Kyle Reese when he was a kid and raised him. Like,
yeah.
So it's like, okay, so your adopted dad is also your son because time travel?
Yeah. And it's like a full circle moment.
And imagine raising this kid and then having to be like, I can only send one man back, and your adopted son is like, take me back, I know all about Sarah Connor, you've taught me about your mother, and you've basically been grooming your dad to have you.
It's destiny.
But also the point of this is that there is no destiny.
The destiny is what you make, and he's making himself. But
this particular movie was like, there is no fate.
Oh yeah,
and then there was Terminator Dark Fate, so there is still fate, but it's bad fate.
The old one says there is no fate but what we make. That's a common Terminator thing.
Okay, so the fate that John Connor made was himself. He's like,
You're convincing me, actually, now that I think about this. Wait a minute.
I need to lead the resistance, and also I like being alive. Oh, hey, this is my dad.
So because in the opening he finds Kyle Reese as a baby, or like a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And he's been raising him. So yeah, and he's like, you taught me all about Sarah Connor. Hold on a minute.
He groomed his dad.
He gaslit his dad into loving his mom in the past?
So that they would pork and have him.
That's... I didn't even think about that. I don't like that, so I'm not going to think about it.
But it doesn't matter, because John Connor dies in this one.
Immediately.
When Matt Smith grabs him, he doesn't just terminate him, he assimilates him. The new Terminator model is that they can create a symbiotic relationship between organic and inorganic material.
Which is stupid. We'll get to that.
And basically, John Connor is now made of magic magnet sand.
Yeah.
But
you know the stuff they put on Wooly Willy from 1950s toys? You ever see it? That's the shit he's made of. That little black crystals that you use to draw mustache and hair on that face.
Yeah, no, he's made out of that shit now, which I think is honestly jumping the gun by making John Connor the more prevalent, like making him that overarching antagonist of the movie.
Yeah, but we don't even, like I said, we don't even get there at first, because we have to redo in rapid fire every act from Terminator 1.
Mm-hmm.
So Kyle Reese goes back in time, a T-800, an Arnold goes back in time.
An Arnold?
He fights punks, but then he fights an old Arnold, and then old Arnold and a secret sniper, which is Sarah Connor, kill this Terminator. And so now, like, the the past is immediately different, because the original Terminator is dead, because there was the old Terminator there to kill the first Terminator.
Yeah, the Terminator killed himself, so, like, we're in uncharted waters now.
Yeah, but now we then have to see Kyle Reese, who goes back in time to save Sarah Connor, but she's already ready, because she's got a Terminator. So then there's a cop there, so then that cop is the T-1000. And so now we're doing Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 simultaneously, and sort of interweaving them, which is, I guess, cool in theory, but it's not as good.
There's too many Terminators in this movie, because we have 2 T-800s.
Yeah.
The good one and the bad one. We have a T-1000. We have a T-injection. I don't know what not Kyle Reese. I don't know what John Connor's designated number is. The endoskeleton even looks worse.
Yeah.
Like, when they pull the magnet sand face off of him, like, it just doesn't look as good. I guess it's designed to look more like it's a skeleton with meat on its bones.
Yeah, it's like musculature.
Yeah, and that doesn't look as cool as just a robot skeleton.
You can't do better than the original.
Why try?
Even T2 knew that. They did something new and cool and different with the Goo Man, but the Goo Man is not cooler than the T-800.
No.
The T-800 is the coolest thing ever made.
The T-1000 is scarier, though, because it can, take all these different shapes of people, or like it was like floor in the second one. In this one, the T-1000 becomes a mirror for a second.
That's a really cool effect.
Yeah.
Because you know it's gonna come from the mirror, but the way it walks, it looks really cool.
Yeah, it comes from all corners, kind of like goops together in the center and starts walking out
But
of
then
it.
he just does the arm blades like T2. He kills cops and takes a cop form. Like, there's no reason he's a cop in this movie, T5, other than in T2 he was a cop.
Yeah. They could have made him anything. The one cool new thing they do with the T-1000 is tracker. There was a moment where they were driving their ambulance go wagon or whatever.
Because Sarah Connor shows up to Kyle Reese and says, "Come with me if you want to live." So we remember the thing from the other movie.
It's checking boxes.
But now Sarah Connor's saving him. And you're like, oh, wow, I wish I was watching Terminator 1.
I wish I was watching any other movie. But at one point, the T-800, the good T-800, the old one, to justify not having to digitally de-age Arnie,
Yeah.
like, shoots at a random part of the ambulance, and it turns out that, like, the handle on the back of the ambulance had been T-1000 goo and was tracking them. I don't think that was in T2. There was a moment when, like, it grabbed him with the crowbar hands, but then young John Connor, like, throws it off and stuff.
There's, like, a piece that is hooked on.
Yeah,
but then falls off. Yeah, he throws it, and then it reconnects. So they just did a new version of that.
Yeah, and this time they were actually using something. It's like, oh, how could he how could the T-1000 know where we're going? And then Arnie shoots the thing. It's like, that's how.
And so now that we've sped through T1 and 2, we're still kind of... We do this extended chase sequence as Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor meet each other and are going back and forth, learning. Like, Kyle Reese is like, "I'm from the future. I know you won't believe me." And then she's like, "No, I believe you because someone else came and informed me, and it's this old Arnold." So now we gotta redo the whole Terminator 1. Now everything's different, except we're gonna do every scene basically beat for beat, but everything's different because we're just saying it's different.
Yeah, the difference now, and Kyle Reese even says it, is you're not supposed to know about the robot war. Yeah. How do you know about the robot war?
The big-ass robot in my car!
Yeah, so that's what's different now, is Sarah Connor is now prepared, and
then they just have to keep running from this T-1000 as they hit their home base. And he's still coming, and that part's kind of cool to me. I like, because, I mean, that's just classic Terminator thing. It will not stop. It will keep coming until you are dead, is the line. And he keeps finding them, tracking them. He's able to do it. I don't really care that they don't have to explain why.
And he walks, too. Terminator walking towards you is more terrifying than the T-1000 sprinting at you.
Yeah.
Like,
he sprints in, like, T2 after the car, and it's really good, and then he just stops when he can't catch the car. He's like, it's awesome.
But what's good about that is you don't see him breathe, no facial expressions. Like, yeah, that's good, but still, like, there's something about unstoppable killing machine that knows it can take its time.
Yeah, like, I'll get there. You'll die.
Yeah. I am in no rush because I'll live forever.
But in this movie, he's running after them, and Sarah Connor has a home base. It's kind of cool that they are, like, they saw up one of the Terminators they killed, and they're, like, melting him like a body because they don't want to leave future tech. And then the T-1000 shows up, and they defeat it with acid, and that's also a cool visual. They have acid set up, because I guess they predicted a T-1000 would show, or just robots in general. They're like, we'll melt them with acid.
Yeah, they had a bunch of barrels of acid above, like, this center atrium of their... Like, every hallway connects to this, and there's just 30 barrels of acid above it. That's safe.
Don't worry, all roads lead to acid room. Just run, Kyle Reese, until you find the acid room.
They release the acid. Arnie holds up the T-1000 as it's just being melted, and it melts his fake skin, and we get to see the cool robot hand effect,
which
is also checking a box in my opinion,
and was cool in the 80s when it's a practical effect.
Yeah,
that scene where he cuts his arm open and like pops his eye out and stuff like that is so good.
Yeah.
And yes, you can tell it's a little dated or whatever. I don't care, it looks great. T2 looks great, I don't care, I'll fight you all. But I like the T-800 melting the goo man, the T-1000, because it's like the thug versus the lanky dude, like they have their own strengths and weaknesses. And that's kind of what I get every other Terminator movie never has, is like the Terminators don't have weaknesses in general, but they have like a design. Like the T-800 just walks at you. The T-1000 can, like, turn to goo and do all that. But so, of course, he's weak to the T-800, just, like, brute forcing him.
Yeah. It's a paper beating rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Magnet villain at the end of this is just, like, he's, like, he doesn't really... They have to invent a weakness for him that's stupid. Because he's just... So, like, he's just this reconstructing mesh of goo, like, of magnets, that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't really feel like anything. It has no, like, physicality to it.
No. This movie does want to remind you, though, that the first 2 Terminator movies are still good and real, because the Genisys, the whole premise of the movie is that instead of Skynet, where it's like, oh, the internet is connecting, they're trying to make fun of, or lampoon lifestyle brands like Apple, where it's like, we're gonna launch Genisys. It's this new cloud-based service that's gonna connect your phone and your car and your watch and your bank account. It's gonna connect everything,
which doesn't even sound that good, or that like they say this new killer app has 1 billion down. Oh, real quick.
I thought it was 3 million.
No, it was 1 billion.
Okay.
They said 1 billion pre-orders.
Which is like the population of China or something.
Yes.
Like, we looked it up. It's like, okay, everybody in China has one of these.
But the reason that there's an app is because they start the movie in 1984, and then after they kill the Terminator, they go into the other basement, and they've built a time machine. Sarah Connor and the Terminator T-800 have been just ransacking Terminators sent into the past, I guess, or pieces of stuff, and they built their own time machine. That's stupid.
Yeah?
No time machines in the past.
No.
I don't care if a Terminator... Terminators don't know how to make time machines. There's one machine Skynet makes in the super future or whatever. It works. We get a one-way trip, and then you just wait until the present, or you die in the past. Because it has to have fucking stakes. You don't get to go back.
Yeah, no, they were trying... Because this came out 2017?
Yeah. Something like that.
And
because they send themselves then after from 1984. They get in their little homemade time machine and go to 2017.
Yeah, or at least the mid 2010s. In my brain, it's like 2014 to 2017.
Yeah,
so
somewhere in there.
It might be came out in 2017, takes place in 2014 to be like, oh, this is exactly 30 years later.
No, it takes place in 2017.
Okay. Doesn't matter. The mid 2010s, when this shit is really started to, as these big killer apps are really starting to come around. But they want you to remember the cool parts of Terminator, like Terminator 2, because the guy who created this whole company, Genisys, is Danny Dyson, son of Miles Dyson from T2, which in my brain I'm like, oh look, more fan service. I point at the screen and say, it's him, it's the kid. But, like, that didn't need to be there.
No, they say his name once when he's on, like, a TV interview, and he's, like, walking and talking to somebody.
He's walking and talking to John Connor, because, again, John Connor is a robot, and he has been waiting out the 30 years instead of using a time machine, and he has helped give Danny Dyson this technology to make sure Genisys happens.
Because the thing we don't see is that John Connor goes to the past as well, but now he's a magnet robot.
Yeah, now he's a magnet robot, and they figure out he's magnet because they turn on an EEG machine? No,
MRI.
An MRI, yeah. They turn on an MRI, and it's a really cool effect of him, like, struggling against it, and every now and then a layer of magnet particles comes off.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool, and that's, like, the only time that robot looks cool.
There's so many more magnets in the world than there are acid containers and cryo-freeze. Like, they killed the T-1000 with lava and like molten metal.
They had to find a refinery,
or have preset acid barrels because you know the future. Like, magnets are all over the fucking place. Just whip a magnet at the dude.
Get a bundle of 1,000 of those little two-sided like little strip magnets on Amazon. Huck a magnet bomb at him.
It's just but yeah, it's just now in 2017, they've got a slightly older Arnie. Kyle Reese and Arnie don't trust each other because Kyle Reese is like, all Terminators are evil, I'm from the future. Arnie's like, I'm kind of Sarah Connor's dad. Sarah Connor's... You said she's a good actor. I didn't see it in this movie. I didn't like anyone in this movie except Arnie.
That's fair. I can see her face, Daenerys Targaryen from fucking Game of Thrones. Well, she's great in that. God, I feel bad I can't remember her name.
But I just...
Keep talking, it's gonna bother me.
Okay. I just, In 2017, they show up. They get arrested by the cops.
They get arrested by the cops 3 times, once in the past and then twice in the future.
Yeah, and they're like, we have no records of you. That doesn't make any sense. But also, your DNA matches a child. Kyle Reese's fingerprints match a child.
Amelia Clark.
That's the name of the Sarah Connor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the original actress, unfortunately.
No, that's...
Hamilton.
Yeah, she's awesome. There's dudes, though, that are always like, whatever happened, like, you know, whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
So they just keep getting arrested, and it's just the same scene like 3 times in a row. Is them getting arrested, and then Arnold gets them out, or like John Connor gets them out.
And they go get a bunch of guns, and they get arrested, and they confiscate the guns.
Yeah.
But when they get out, they go get more. They have a second stash.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense except to find out that John Connor is now a Terminator, because he shows up, and they're like, "Whoa, you're in the past with us?" And he's like, "Yeah."
The last time they get arrested, though, is to weave J.K. Simmons back into the story, because he's here.
Yeah. He's running around. Every time they get arrested, we cut to an unrelated J.K. Simmons conspiracy theorist. He was basically the cop in the 80s that saw Terminator, and now in the present day is like, robots are real! And everyone's like, well, we'll keep him on the force, but he's nuts.
Yeah, like, this cop, when he's younger, arrests Kyle Reese, and then they get attacked by the Terminator, and Kyle Reese is like, see, I'm not a crazy man. So, like, in the future, in 2017, his character is like, I remember you from the 80s. You've been gone for the reason we don't have records of you is because you just skipped 30 years, right? Am I right?
But he doesn't help them escape.
He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't give them access. He doesn't like, oh, here's access to police database. Here's guns. He's just there.
He's a bankable actor.
And then, literally, he's about to get on the helicopter with them, and then the Terminator, or someone says to him, it might be Kyle Reese, he goes, run, save yourself, and then he's out of the movie. And I'm like, he's no relevance. He was just there to waste more time in between these guys. So anyway, they get arrested. John Connor shows up. He's like, the future's fine now. Then the T-800 blows him away with a shotgun because he can sense he's a robot. And that's when the magnets start that we've talked about. Just this magnetic-y, like his blood is magnets, his body is magnets.
We're jumping all over the place, but the issue is, you know how your dad was talking about how Argyle is just Lego movie? You can plug any scene. That's how I feel about Terminator 5.
I don't even think we're jumping all over the place. Because we said, like, they do T1 and 2, they run away, they go to the 2017, they get arrested, John Connor shows up, magnets, they get guns, they get arrested, get guns, final fight.
Maybe that's indicative of how little this movie had an impact on me, is that I think we're jumping around, but this has been in...
No, this is totally chronological order. It's just not very good.
Yeah, even like the final confrontation's like, oh, this is a cool big dome room. Hey, you want to know what sucks for your magnet villain? Putting a big magnet generator in the middle of the room.
Yeah, and then...
blow it up.
Like, so they get guns, they don't work on the Terminator... They get arrested. John Connor drives a motorcycle off of a bridge and onto a school bus. Then the school bus falls off the bridge. And then they all escape and John Connor goes down into the drink.
But he's fine.
He's fine, because of course he is. He's magnets. He can survive water.
Yeah, you can't kill magnets with water. I've tried.
You can't kill magnets at all. I'm the most powerful thing alive, provided no child has a magnet toy. Hopefully there's no online MRI machines near me. You'll defeat the greatest warrior Skynet ever made. So they're going back and forth, right? We're getting arrested. No, Terminators are real. We're not crazy. The whole time Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor are falling in love. And then they start... I'm not even joking. One of the times they arrest Kyle Reese, the final time... They bring child Kyle Reese, the guy whose fingerprints match this child. They bring the child and the parents into the police room. And they're like, does this man look like your son? And they're like, no, our son's 12. This is a homeless man.
And they ask the kid, do you recognize this man? No.
He has your fingerprints. What did you do? Like, what? In what world would they be like, all right, get this. So then a Terminator attacks while they have the child. And then Sarah Connor saves the child, and she kind of, like, mothers him a little bit. She's being a little like, Mom, like, listen, relax with me. Well, his mom's right there. She's like, relax. But that's the man that's the child that becomes the man that she's gonna get impregnated by.
You are,
I don't know if they get married, but they definitely pump and dump.
Like I said, there is a very uncomfortable, like, you are imprinting on this child at a very young age. Later, after his parents die, he gets adopted by a different guy who raises him to love the woman that he may have already been imprinted on.
Yeah.
Send him back in time. That I'm just very uncomfortable
The autonomy of Kyle Reese is deeply in question here. He has no control over anything he's done.
It's unfortunate that he has no agency in his own life, because, like, he was cool in the first one.
I mean, everyone was cool in the first one.
Everyone was cool.
The second one's great too.
That's a great double feature.
Because again, time travels one way. That's a character that says, I'm going back in time and I will die there and I will not know if I succeeded.
The issue, the incredible thing is that, like, 3 and 4 don't matter anymore. You could say that Terminator Judgment Day, Terminator Genisys. You could say that is
with the new one that I never saw, Terminator 6.
Dark Fate?
They say it's 1, 2, 6. They say 5 doesn't count.
I love this franchise because, again, since every movie retcons itself, like, they stop Genisys, meaning Genisys never happens, meaning this movie never happens.
Yeah.
So every time Hollywood wants to pump out another Turbo baby, they can just... you give me a look.
It just sounds like a dying child. It's like, oh, don't go up to floor 6. That's where they keep the Turbo babies. It's a depressing ward to walk into the hospital. Quick, turn on the magnets machine in the Turbo baby ward. We gotta stop a John Connor robot.
Great, I lost my fucking train of thought. Whenever Hollywood wants to crank out another Terminator movie, is that better for you?
No, I like Turbo baby. Crank that Turbo baby.
Can we find a name for this episode?
Oh yeah. It's that or Aryan Jesus.
Now I'm hoping that bit doesn't even make it into the preamble, so we don't even have nobody has context for that.
Yeah. We'll see.
But
we'll see if I look kindly on your internet presence and I snip that segment.
It's clearly a farce. It's clearly a joke. It's whatever.
Not when I'm done with it.
Well, the next time, whenever Hollywood wants to crank out a Turbo baby, they can just pick and choose which ones are and aren't. Like, if they wanted to do something with, if they wanted to do, like, a Terminator Salvation 2, if they wanted to get Christian Bale back for whatever reason, even though they've now had, like, 4 different actors who played John Connor, and it could just literally be Jason Clarke again, it doesn't matter.
They could just be like, T4 is what counts.
Yep, T1, 2, and 4.
Yeah.
Or T1, T4, and then T7.
You need like a flowchart to figure out what Terminator timeline you're... The thing is, it doesn't matter.
No.
Anyone who cares about lore is stupid.
You could watch any Terminator movie in a vacuum, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you should really only watch 2 Terminator movies, and that's 1 and 2. Anything beyond that, and you're just wasting your time. This movie goes to a conclusion. We go into Genisys, where Skynet is going to start. And now it is a rapidly aging hologram that starts as a child and turns into a CGI Matt Smith.
Again.
That says, don't kill me. You're as bad as me if you kill me.
No.
And it's like, no, you're going to bomb the world. I just want to kill a computer.
I'm turning a computer off.
Yeah.
I'm throwing magnets at my PC.
I'm going to blue screen you, little boy. And I'm going to get away with it. The only crime I have is I grenade launched a school bus on the San Francisco bridge.
But
so I'm going to jail forever, but not for this.
They'll never convict.
And so, you know, it builds to a conclusion. The T-800, Arnie's there. We're fighting Skynet. The way we're fighting Skynet is we're just going to set up bombs and blow it up. John Connor shows up and is like, you'll never blow it up with yourself inside. And Terminator can't because he can't kill Sarah Connor. So Kyle Reese has to do it, but he doesn't want to kill Sarah Connor. And then they just shoot more holograms. The whole warehouse is really clean because it's a new building, but it's also just not an interesting set. It just looks like you filmed in your clean pipes.
The only time the clean aesthetic worked in Terminator movies was the hospital in T2.
Yeah.
Like, because that was designed to be sterile and off-putting. This is meant to look all corpo and...
But it just looks cheap. When things look clean, they look cheap. Movies need to be grimed up. It looks like you spent time.
Yeah, that's why I constantly, like, that's why like the visual of just going back a couple episodes, the spaceport on the moon in Ad Astra it looked like they just color corrected an airport, but it was still like real. You know, it still looked like a real lived-in environment.
I gotta remember Ad Astra. Oh yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
The one with the Applebee's.
Applebee's. I thought of spaceship landing next to Applebee's, and I was like, oh yeah, there we go.
But yeah, no, it looked real and lived in, and this was very much like, yeah, you just put up 3 white walls on a green screen stage.
It's like, have you seen the trailer for Civil War with Alex Garland's new A24 movie? It's about like Texas, and watch that trailer and look at everyone's outfit. They are all fresh out the bag. This is a Civil War. Every outfit's like not like pressed, but like wrinkled in the way you just pulled it out the Amazon purchase.
Wrinkled like 2 creases right here over the nipples because it was folded over.
It doesn't look like they spent time like making those clothes look anything other than bought just for that set.
Dear people making films, you gotta pre-rumple.
You gotta dirty.
You gotta,
I want some grime.
You gotta.
I like it nasty.
You gotta slap the slop on it.
You gotta slap them hogs.
And by hogs, I mean your actors. Treat them like filth.
Listen, roll those piggies in some mud and throw them on screen. I paid $13.50 in Biden's America dollars for this fucking movie ticket. I better see a dirty man.
We didn't pay to see either of these movies.
Well, I paid spiritually.
Yeah.
With my time.
We watched Thor on Disney Plus, of which my partner's parents are paying for, and we watched Terminator 5 on Amazon Prime, of which my dad is paying for.
Okay.
I didn't pay shit for this.
So I'll say that. If someone else pays for these movies, you can watch them. Last thoughts on Terminator 5. Final confrontation. They blow up Skynet. Another act of domestic terrorism after their arrests. Obviously, they're trying to blow up Skynet. They can't. Eventually, T-800 needs to... He's been getting older through the movie. You're seeing his joints not working. He needs to sacrifice himself to hold John Connor robot in the magnet matrix. And they basically send them into an explosion of time travel boom. Clearly, I think the intention was if this movie does good, this Terminator is sent through time so he can still come back.
Show me a Terminator sent to, like, Julius Caesar.
I know, he'd run that fucking town.
I want a Terminator sent to kill, like, Hitler's suicide. No, actually, that was Arnold.
That's what they're finally doing with Predators. You can put them in any timeline and it works. They're making another...
Prey proved that.
Yeah, and they're making another one. But anyway, Terminator... It ends, he sacrifices himself. It's the only time in the movie I start feeling a little bit of emotion. And I don't know that that's this movie or just like, I felt emotion in T2. You feel it in T1 even a little bit, in my opinion, when the robot eye goes out.
There's some like after image of nostalgia pain of like...
I don't know, but when Arnie is making the sacrifice play, I feel something. And he dies to save to save the world. And now it's just Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese alone with no true quote-unquote connection to the future.
You know what my question is to them after that?
What?
Are they still gonna make John Connor?
We'll find only one way to find out. Listen.
Hey, so you know that son we had? Turns out, evil robot, maybe, depending on the timeline.
But then at the very end, I'm like, okay, we're wrapping up. Bang, bang from the other side of the door. Is it the villain? No. Arnie kicks it down, and now he's a T-1000, because he fell in some goo that they were making T-1. And it's like, not only is it a nostalgia bait, this movie doesn't have any of the sauce of an 80s movie or a 90s movie. You kill your fucking character. Mm-hmm. T2 is good because at the end he's dead. Sadness has a purpose. You should be able to feel sad and kill a character, and they're just done. They shouldn't come back. Mm-hmm. It needs to have stakes. And this movie doesn't have stakes. It doesn't have anything. It has a sequence of images of things that I remember previously.
I think if Terminator is going to continue as a franchise, it needs a new face. You can't keep bringing Arnie back. First of all, just the fact that he's getting older.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, and I know it might, make people upset, especially people who were, like, watched these movies growing up in the 80s, because that is the audience. Yeah. The same people who are like, they're gonna make Indiana Jones woke. Those are the same people who are mad about it. But get somebody like Michael B. Jordan as a Terminator.
And to them, I say, get over it.
Yeah.
You have the movie. Go rewatch the old movies. They're not taking them away from you.
Believe
they want to buy physicals. Streamers they're gonna try.
Yeah.
But watch the old movies, and then just watch something new.
My final thought on Thor 2 and Terminator 5 is just that I was saying before we were recording that this is probably our most, not bankable, but
it's not bankable.
It's not well, what I mean by that is the most commercially mainstream episode we've ever done. Like, I've seen both of these movies before doing this episode. I remember probably seeing Thor 2 in theaters, if I'm being honest, but these were like huge movies and huge franchises. And it's indicative of the studio system to like kind of cookie cutter or Lego them together and just say, nothing of consequence happens in Thor 2. Nothing of consequence happens in Terminator 5.
No.
Like, even to the grand scheme of their own franchises.
Yeah.
These movies don't matter, but these are $1 million movies, $100 million movies. I don't know if they made that much, but
probably. I can't imagine they flopped hard. Thor 2's coming off of Avengers. With Genisys is just, it's Terminator's kind of a bankable name.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, even more so than just new ideas. It's like stakes. Something happens. Please, someone dies. Something is unchanged or like unfixable. Something's broken.
Can't have that. It's got to be good things happen to your good guys. Terminator can't die. Thor loses his mom.
Yeah, Thor's mom. That's basically a background extra dying.
It's Frigga.
Who?
That's her name, Frigga.
Frigga?
Frigga. Frigga. That's her name.
I don't care.
Okay.
There's no Thor characters I care about or name. I know Thor.
Loki.
Okay. So there's two. And Idris Elba. We didn't even talk about Idris Elba.
Dude, Heimdall, I said when we were watching
Is that his name?
Yes, it's Heimdall. God, you make me feel lame sometimes, you know that?
Really? I make you feel lame?
Yeah, you know?
Are you sure you don't just finally get a mirror into the real world? You're not just sitting alone in your house going, Heimdall!
No, so Heimdall, like, I was complaining in the movie that he doesn't get to do anything cool. He just stands in his fucking little room to see all dimensions with his sword and never gets to use it. He can see the encroaching invisible army, jumps on a spaceship and cuts it down with a sword.
That's true. It's the one part of this movie that's cool. Maybe we should have made a movie about Idris Elba called Heimdall. It'll turn out big for the Disney Plus show Heimdall. Imagine if they just put Heimdall in Luther. Like the final season of Luther. They're like, Luther, your next case, you just gotta see all of time. Here's a sword.
You know, I'm not saying no.
Me neither. That's the thing. We gotta figure it out. We gotta see where the cookie crumbles. My point is, if Terminator is gonna continue, I don't know that it needs to, but I haven't seen Dark Fate. I don't know if you have.
I have. I have seen all the Terminator movies.
Okay, so
no, that's not true. I never finished 3. We talked about this.
Okay, 3 also sucks, so don't worry. I'm just so sick of this. I just want new movies, man.
Give me more of the Creator.
No, the Creator sucks. It is new and different.
I gave that like a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
That's just because you're a horny little robot freak.
No.
I don't.
Was that convincing?
Stay tuned for the Creator.
Can we do a crossover with the Creator and Transformers the animated movie for no particular reason? Or Rise of the Beasts for no particular reason?
Yes, because we'll do a crossover with robot movies you jork your shit to. Cut the feed.